You're listening to A Midlife Less Ordinary, the weekly podcast giving you the lowdown on becoming a cool older dude. The good times are not a faded memory. It's time to start living them again. And here are your hosts, Wayne and Trev.
Yeah, hello everyone. This is Wayne and this is Trev.
Good evening.
And today we're going to be doing an episode lovingly called Help Me Cool Old Dudes, You're My Only Hope, which is a nod to a film that's been, I'm sure you can guess, to be honest, a big part of our lives.
If you don't, why are you listening?
Exactly that. So it's obviously Star Wars. It had to come out eventually. We thought we'd do it early in the episodes, and we're basically going to get it out of the way. Is Star Wars cool for a middle-aged man to still love, or is it not?
And is Star Wars still cool? Full stop.
Good point, Trev. It's is it still cool? Full stop. Is the newer Star Wars
it's
cool?
It's not just cool to like it, but is it actually still cool? Really?
I mean, Star Wars is cool, man, isn't it? It is cool, but
bits of it are.
If you
bits of it are,
yeah, but not as a whole anymore.
So would you say Jar Jar Binks is cool?
Exactly. Would you? I think it started with Ewoks, didn't it?
I think it did. I think you are right there.
I think,
because as you had Empire Strikes Back, which was like a not very dark, but quite a dark, more of an adult film. And then all of a sudden you had these cute little teddy bears running about.
Which has been a theme, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, not only that, I think that was probably obviously the marketing side of it started with Star Wars figures, which again, that was a big part of our growing up.
Yes.
Childhood, wasn't it? But I think that the Ewoks was Lucasfilm's real attempt to market something without it being really not relevant to the story, but someone at that big Lucasfilm table said, we could sell these Ewoks.
We're making lots of money out of the merchandise here.
Exactly.
And I think
that's what it is. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they were more marketing than actual, I don't know. That's just me.
No, I think you're definitely right. And, hopefully we'll come to discover this through the course of this episode. So to start with, memories of Star Wars. So how did we get to love Star Wars? And I think that's a lot to do with the time it was 1977.
There was nothing like it. There was nothing like it.
A space western, apparently, wasn't it?
Exactly, yes. And to be honest, the thing is with it, the whole thing was there wasn't many blockbusters then.
No.
So it was like the film to see. It wasn't like you had another Transformers movie or another Hellboy movie or whatever. It was just Star Wars.
You just used to see adverts for it, didn't you?
It was everywhere.
It was everywhere.
That was the thing. You couldn't get away from it.
I'd never been to the cinema when Star Wars had come out. I mean, I was only 6 years old, to be fair. And I had two younger brothers, and
I'd been to see Herbie and stuff.
Oh, so you had a really good benchmark to watch it by. You started low.
The benchmark was Herbie and Bambi.
Wow, yeah. I can see why you loved it.
Star Wars compared to those two was obviously quite a big thing.
Eye-opening, yeah. I mean, to be fair, I found the whole experience quite scary. I remember all I can remember is queuing up around the block on a hot summer's night at the Odeon 2 in Southend-on-Sea in Essex. And once we got in, people smoking in some of the chairs. And I remember
different. Was it to the right? You could smoke.
That's right. It was. Yeah, that's my reviving memory of it. And I remember that. The music started, and I was quite scared, and I sat through this movie, and the next day I was pretending to be Jedis, and in the playground.
Solo for me, it was just Han Solo.
Even from an early age, Trev.
Yeah. I remember being at infant school and having like a little Harrington Lambretta jacket, and thinking it was like Han Solo's sort of waistcoat.
Yeah,
obviously it had arms, so I don't know why I thought that, but. And idiot mittens, it also had that
I think
as well.
It's probably a tank top that you had at the time or something.
It probably was, to be honest. But yeah, I honestly thought it was like the jacket was like Han Solo's jacket.
So you went to school and you done the same thing. You was pretending to be Han Solo and he was
Han Solo. Yeah, I never wanted to be Luke Skywalker or a Jedi. I was completely into Han Solo. That was my thing.
You always have been, to be fair. Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
You've been
always.
true to
You
that.
know, yeah. I even dressed. I made a fancy dress costume of Han Solo in Hoth's gear with an old Parker.
That was recently, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago. I must admit. I tried to do it again, but it just didn't come
Recreate
out.
it.
Yeah,
It's not the same.
I remember like getting a Parker, blue Parker with the hood, which I already had, and then I got, and believe it or not, I had gardening gloves on for gloves or ski gloves. I think remember the old ski gloves you could get from
indeed
kids shops. I had moon boots on.
Wow.
High tech moon boots, and I had a pair of goggles and a tennis visor underneath the hood. Oh, I had it all.
You fully
Yeah,
accessorised, weren't you?
I did the whole thing.
You,
I had one
this
of
is Empire Strikes Back now, isn't it? So
it is, yeah. Obviously, I'm jumping a bit here, but that I actually did that. But my memory of Star Wars was I've got a brother who's 9 years older than me, and he just wouldn't take me to see it. He wasn't interested, and I couldn't go on my own, obviously. And my mum and dad didn't have a lot of interest, and it was always, get your brother to take him. He's your brother. And I actually saw a weird thing about Star Wars. You saw it at the Odeon, and I saw it at the Classic in Westcliff.
Oh, yes.
So it was on at two different cinemas.
I didn't realise that.
And no, did I, until you mentioned it just now. And I actually saw it on the very last night. It was on in South.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The very last night. Yeah, so I could have missed it. And I pride myself on seeing, I'm going to say every Star Wars film at the cinema, which I have, excuse my mobile. But there's one I didn't see, but we touch on that later on.
Sure. No, well, you were lucky to see it in that case then. And
yes,
you might not be planned.
My whole childhood and life could have been changed.
Exactly. Imagine a life without that. In our childhood, we were so lucky because, as
honestly,
you say, there was nothing like it. And then the whole world exploded, didn't it? And then there were no spoilers. We had to wait 3 years for a movie to come out, didn't we?
Yeah. It wasn't the internet. There wasn't any sneak peeks.
No sneak peeks, or there were trailers, or teasers, weren't there?
There wasn't no kind of internet movie database, or you could check up on stuff. It was just
pure wait. You just waited, and so anticipated the Empire Strikes Back.
The nearest thing you had was getting the bubblegum cards.
Yes.
And I think I got Empire Strikes Back's bubblegum cards. How awful was that cheap bubblegum in that? Oh,
it was hard cardboard.
A pink cardboard.
Yeah.
But and I think
what about the masks that came with ice lollies? Did you have them?
Oh yes, I did have some of them. Yeah, I did have some of them because obviously I'd gone through a similar thing with Planet of the Apes as a kid, but again, that'll be for another episode.
Of course, that'll come up.
But no, I remember, and like the merchandise, you would just crave it.
Yes.
Absolutely crave it. And the first Star Wars figure I bought, again, was Han Solo.
Yeah.
Had to be, with the small head, none of this big-headed Han Solo.
When did the figure, do you know when the figures originally came out? Was it more The Empire Strikes Back they'd cottoned onto it, hadn't they?
I didn't, because I love the figures and stuff. I'll admit, I didn't have this, people probably will put me right here because I think we're fans, but there's obviously bigger fans than us, about the kind of send away thing where you only got the cardboard box and then the figures came afterwards. I don't remember doing that. I just remember buying Han Solo from W.H. Smith's, and I think trying to remember, I think they were about 99p.
Yes, I think that's right. I think a place called Berman's used to sell them for that.
Yeah, I got that one from Smith's, and I think they were Palatoy. They're not.
Yes,
not
that's
Kenner.
right.
I believe
Palatoy.
Kenner took over at Empire. People could come in and write to us or email us, and it shows you middle aged.
People will know.
People will know. People that we know
will know.
That's the shocking thing.
Exactly.
And I think Kenner took over in the Empire Strikes Back ones. I think.
Yes, I think that's right. Yeah. That's when the merchandising really took off.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's, figures, the movies, right up to Return of the Jedi, where we were a bit older. That's the residing memories are fantastic.
I remember bunking off school.
Exactly. You're going to get pulled up for that one now.
This is it. I'll probably get a fine or something. But I actually bunked off school in the afternoon of the opening days to see Empire and Return of the Jedi.
Well, I can't say I was too goody, but fair play to you. That's a pretty cool thing to do at such a young age. To be fair,
it wasn't with my parents.
No. Obviously, once you get a good spanking for it, it's not. Which was okay in the 70s, obviously, but not
exactly.
now.
Yeah, we're not going to put one of those spoiler alerts.
No, not for this is in the past.
Old-fashioned values,
old-fashioned canings.
That's what happened. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So that's our memories, and now we come on to the late. We're older now. We're in our late 20s, and there's talk of George Lucas doing 3 more films.
Filling in the gaps.
The gaps, the prequels.
The first 3.
So what sort of impact, what do you remember about the prequels coming out? The Phantom Menace?
I remember being quite excited about it, and I remember me and you buying quite a bit of merch before it came out, like Darth Maul figure and stuff like that. Yes. Qui-Gon Jinn figure, who I actually really looked like then, didn't I, as well?
You did, yeah. You had the
I did.
ponytail.
I actually went a fancy dress as him as well, but I did really look like him.
You did.
But
he's a cool character.
I remember us. He's put him and Darth Maul were probably the best things about it.
Yeah.
Not the podcast racing, sorry.
No, God.
But we kind of was really excited, and I remember going to see them at midnight in Basildon with a few friends. Not you, strangely enough.
No, I didn't go with you.
I don't know what happened. No, and I remember really wanting to like them, and I remember sitting there trying to that they were good.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, the saber fight at the end with Darth Maul.
It was brilliant, wasn't it?
It's good.
Yeah.
Musically, it's good. And then you think back and there's mention of things like midi-chlorines and that. You think...
And trade fairs or whatever.
Trade fairs, which was really boring.
It was boring, wasn't it?
What kid wants to know about trade fairs unless you're going to
they can refer to it in the credits like they used to, but you don't want to know about that stuff. Even at 30 years old, I didn't want to know about it, to be honest.
No, and to be honest, now I've watched them again, because obviously I do own them, and they're just pretty bad.
Yeah,
to be honest, they really are.
Too many effects, not enough soul.
Too many effects, and to be the kid that plays Anakin, the young Anakin, is just like
annoying.
He's come off a High School Musical.
Yeah,
he was just like what, and Sebulba and that. Yeah, sorry, I can barely watch them now when they're on TV.
No, and you can see that when it come to the second one, which was Attack of the Clones, which sounds like some kind of
and again, what were the robots?
Anal disease, but they tried to add loads of Jedi to make it cool. Exactly, you can get
cream for your clothes.
They tried to make that one cool by having loads of Jedi everywhere.
I tell you what, I'll say 2 words to you and tell me what you think.
Yeah, go on.
Roger.
Yeah, Roger.
What is that?
They're not the BBC television comedy from the 90s.
That's about taxis.
That's probably better, to be honest. But
it probably well scripted and better wrote.
Yes, indeed. But Roger, exactly.
Roger. What was that about?
I know. Yeah, Roger. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's just made to start. I don't know if George Lucas just had a personality transplant at some point in his life, and he just.
I don't know.
Did he write it? Though? Yeah, I think he did, didn't he?
Yeah, but why didn't he? He probably didn't listen. Well, I would have thought if you're George Lucas, you think you can do anything.
Yes,
you can. Whatever you put down on paper, because you know it's going to sell. You know people are going to watch it, so you could probably do anything. And if you were George Lucas doing the Star Wars prequel, would you listen to anybody? If they went, to be honest, George, you can't. That pod racing is crap.
Yeah.
You wouldn't, would you?
You're the god of cinema now.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm George Lucas, mate.
Yeah.
I've had the biggest sci-fi film ever.
Yeah.
Which wasn't supposed to.
I can do what I want. Yeah.
Exactly. So you're not going to listen to advice, are you?
He didn't want to get. Was Erwin Kershner still alive?
I don't know. He looked really creepy, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Director. But he's a bloody good director.
Creepy.
Yeah.
He was. Yeah. To be honest, he virtually made like a war film.
Yes.
In Empire Strikes Back at the start.
Yes.
I think that I'm a massive war film fan, as you know.
You are, yeah.
And when you watch the Battle of Hoth, it is just
amazing.
Like watching Battle of the Bulge. Well,
that's why I've got some artwork on my arm for the Battle of Hoth.
You have one snow speeder.
Well, we won't talk about that now. We'll bring that up another time. But hence the reasons we think Star Wars is cool. So the prequel, they come out. We didn't think much of them. We was trying to work out basically if it was because we were older and we just didn't have that kind of sense of adventure we had when we were younger.
I don't think that. I just think they're bad.
On retrospectively,
I just think they are. They're very wooden. The acting's wooden. Nothing.
Yeah, even
Hayden Christensen.
Hayden, very
isn't a great actor. I'm afraid.
No.
I know he's because he's going to reprise his role, isn't he? For
the
Ben Kenobi thing with Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, Ewan
He's in it
McGregor.
as well.
I mean, him as well. I mean, he was good as you could. He was a good replacement for Alec Guinness.
Do you
But
remember when he said that?
take the high ground, Anakin. I'm taking the high ground.
Yeah.
No.
And of course, and the other classic is no.
Oh God, that is awful, isn't it? The end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's walking like Frankenstein. What's that about? Sorry.
Yeah.
But I remember that gave me a bit of hope when I remember reading something. It might have been in Empire or something, and Ewan McGregor was saying that he had to pick his own lightsaber.
Yes.
And because obviously his uncle's in the original.
That's right.
Phone again,
Red 5.
Yeah. Yes, he was Wedge, wasn't he?
Yeah, Wedge. Yeah.
And so he had kind of like a tie to, obviously he must have been a fan like we are, because I think we're similar ages to you and McGregor, aren't we?
The same, yeah. We are the same.
So if he wants to listen to this,
I am him,
welcome to
actually,
yeah. Yeah, we're actually two different people. We're just masking this up.
Yes.
So people will listen to
so we can hear what they really thought about.
Exactly. So we're not living off our kind of past glories. But yeah,
we're not living off any glories, unfortunately.
Well, no, this is true. It's about getting glories back.
We're getting them back.
But he said that he was really excited to pick his own lightsaber, and I thought that sounds great.
Yeah.
And then there was talk. Obviously, you had Mace Windu in it, who was Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah,
so
he's got to be cool.
Oh, this is it.
The Godfather of cool.
Exactly. And then, like, I remember watching a YouTube clip of some guy had filmed, and it wasn't the first one. I can't remember which one it is. He put me right. But the first time you saw Yoda fighting, and all
Sonic the Hedgehog.
All these Americans were like cheering in the cinema and stuff, and he just looked like a green gnat bouncing about on the screen.
I thought he'd be a lot cooler than that. Yeah,
and I was like, because I don't think Yoda should particularly fight. He's too wise and too epic to fight. He doesn't need to use.
And how did he? I know he lives for a long time. How did he deteriorate that quickly between? Between the sequel, 30 years, and in the grand scale of his life, he'd gone from doing Sonic the Hedgehog impressions in his fighting to hardly bring any energy to help out Luke Skywalker when he's training on his planet. You know,
it just worked.
It's just trying to make things cool, which aren't, and you should have left them where they were, and you would have got.
And then obviously you had Jango Fett.
Yeah,
a guy, Boba Fett to us when we were kids had so much mystery about him.
Yeah.
Much mystery, because the figure was sort of banned because it had a flying rocket out of its back and re-released. I think Boba Fett came out as a figure before you had even seen him.
He was cooler when he had an English accent and wasn't a Kiwi. I've got nothing against Kiwis, but
he was a badass, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he was a badass. Obviously, the other thing we haven't spoke about,
what's that?
Which we probably will very quickly, because I don't think we even thought about that, was the remakes with all the stuff put in.
Yeah, that's for. I think we'll do that for a different episode.
Yeah, because obviously there is one bit in the first one that
Han Solo Credo.
That crushed me absolutely.
That takes away the coolness of Han Solo. That's exactly who he was.
All the kind of badassery out of Han Solo's character.
Yeah,
because
I think you've just summed it up. Actually, I think you.
Yeah, he didn't care what he did. He didn't have. He was a scoundrel.
Yeah.
He didn't reason to shoot Greedo in cold blood.
If you can watch the movies, watch the originals as they were released originally, because that's the characters who they were.
And the best thing about it was they didn't muck about with Empire that much, which is obviously the strongest film.
Exactly. They didn't need to, did they, really?
No. And
they didn't need to do that. Why did they take away from Han Solo's coolness?
To be honest, don't know. But in
kids.
Empire, all you sort of see is they've just blacked over the windows in the snow speeders a bit.
Yeah. Because they do the effects
but
better.
They still didn't hide the bubble wrap on the seatbelt, did they? So if you're going to do that, I'm surprised one of the snowspeeder pilots wasn't popping them.
Yeah, I would. I wouldn't be able to resist that, would you?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. You'd be like, got one hand on the steering wheel and one pop, 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 pop. Exactly.
So, the prequels, so you can tell we don't think much of them. So that brings us nicely to something that actually puts the perspective that the prequels are actually better than we thought, and that's the sequels. So, where did we go with that?
Well, I think we've seen those all together.
We did. Yeah, we have. We have. Yeah.
We both had those moments of just looking at each other in our
we have
cinema
in all three. Yeah.
What is that about?
Why have they done that?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the last one especially.
The thing is why there's bits in that, the last one, that don't make sense.
Well, I like the fact the Emperor's been playing hide and seek for 35 years.
Very good, very good. Probably as good as hiding the trick as the bit in Interstellar. Where they
If you can remember anything about Interstellar, I'm impressed.
Yeah, where they managed to hide the whole of virtually NASA under like a desert. Yeah, okay. Anyway, that getting back on Star Wars track. But yeah, and there's bits now where you need to have any background knowledge. When you saw the originals, you didn't have all these fill-in pieces.
Yeah.
But there's a bit in the last one where me and you were watching it, and there was a bit like, that didn't happen.
Exactly.
But in the comics or the books, and I must admit, I was never taken in by all the extra stuff for Star Wars. The films,
extended universe stuff.
Yes, never got into that. I think I tried it when I was very, very young with Splinter of the Mind's Eye, the first novel, and that was it. Nearly got taken in by one of the Boba Fett comics because the front of the cover looked cool because he was in like a Usual Suspects lineup.
Yeah, that would be cool.
A couple of the other, it did look really cool, and there was a couple of other bounty hunters, and one of them had a stormtrooper helmet on and like really sort of battered and stuff. And I thought, oh, this looks really good, but I didn't bother because I was kind of had this unwritten rule that I didn't really want to know anything apart from the movies, because that's what, when we were kids, that's what we had.
Yeah.
The movies were it.
Yeah.
There wasn't any.
They're just trying to make money out of everything then, and it becomes less cool.
That's the thing, like with Boba Fett and other stuff, characters, you don't need to know their background. A bit of mystery, that's what made our imagination so good when we were kids with the figures. We didn't have a great deal of background on the characters, so we made our own up.
Exactly. Yeah.
That was the
And I wanted to still be doing that when I'm 48 years old. You know,
exactly.
I still
a bit of mystery behind the character. We've all got our own voice that these sort of and stuff that these characters use. I remember there being all that fuss with Judge Dredd when it came out.
Yeah.
Because you'd read a comic and you'd have that voice in your head, and then all of a sudden Rocky was doing it, like Judge Dredd was Adrian. So it was just shattered people's dreams about it. And I think that's what does, especially with the new ones, and like with the TV show, The Mandalorian, it's taking those little bits out of your childhood because they're filling bits in. It's ruining it.
Yeah, it's ruining it. As good. I mean, it will
to
talk
us anyway. I know people love it. Don't get me wrong.
The Mandalorian looks Star Wars. That's the good thing about it.
Don't get me wrong. The production values are amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm a massive Jon Favreau fan. Love the guy. Love what he does.
But he's making the same mistake as all the other films.
He's become Mr. Star Wars, hasn't he?
Yes,
Jon Favreau now.
Yeah,
he has become Mr.
Sorry,
Star
John.
Wars.
Yeah,
I just said I love the guy.
Yeah, I think he's basically he hasn't got. Well, this is for another one for another day, maybe because
exactly.
But so basically, what we're saying is the 7, 8, and 9. They basically went from the first one, which is probably the best one out of the three, I guess. What was the first one called? I can't even remember.
The new ones.
Of the new ones, yeah.
I don't know.
I don't even remember. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head.
Kind of
exactly. I mean, I'd never forget the original. But but the first one we watched it and said, oh, it's a bit pants, but it's okay. The second one, you're supposed to forget all about it, aren't you? You're meant to forget about it. It exists in the universe because they changed the narrative for the third one, and it just got silly. So anyway, they're not cool. I
don't think so. No.
But I'll tell you what is cool. I want to ask you some questions. I want to see how you get on in Test Trev.
I like this.
So, Trev, I've dropped this on you a bit, but I thought,
thank you.
seeing as we're talking about stuff, and
can I just use my laptop to Google?
No, there's no Googling. This is a celebration of knowledge, and that doesn't mean the celebration of how you can tap away with one finger on your.
It might fall a bit flat, but go on.
Well, you'll be okay. So every week, I'm going to ask you 5 questions to do with the subject we're talking about, and seeing as we
make it 3?
We're making we'll try 5 first, and if it doesn't work, we'll go to 3, and we'll edit it down to 1. But so basically, 5 questions on Star Wars, and I haven't tried to be too clever with it. So, which space opera comic strip originally inspired George Lucas to write the first Star Wars film?
God, dear.
Oh dear, was that one more tougher than I thought?
Gordon.
Ah, yes, well done. Yes, top man. You actually pulled that one out of the bag, didn't you?
I tried to make out I didn't know for suspense. But
There you go. You're getting an applause for that one.
Yeah.
Okay, number 2. What colour was Qui-Gon Jinn's lightsaber?
Green.
That's true. That is right.
Yeah. Saying I'm not a big fan of those ones, but I know a lot about them.
No, but you do. You know this one. You see, this is going to be 3 out of 3. That's why you wanted to stop at 3. You knew the first 3 were going to be easier.
Quit while you're ahead.
Yeah, you know when to quit. In The Empire Strikes Back, Lando Calrissian is the Baron Administrator of Cloud City on which planet?
Bespin.
Yes. Indeed. 3 out of 3. Should we stop there? This is going well. I didn't even know we were doing this.
I'm on a roll now.
All right, we'll keep going then. All right, let's make it tougher.
There we go.
What is the name of Jabba the Hutt's in-house band in Return of the Jedi?
Oh.
Here you go. There's a little curveball for you. I wouldn't expect you to get that necessarily. No?
Is there a clue?
It's the Max.
Oh, yeah. So now I've got nice snoodles bouncing around in my head.
Yeah, you know, you can see it, but you can't
Max
quite get
Rebo.
it. Yes, well done. I'll give you a half an applause for that one.
Yeah.
That one. There you go, quick one. That's it.
Yeah,
3.5.
yeah.
Right, and the last one. Which Star Wars film has the most Academy Awards to its name?
It's got to be one of the effects heavy ones.
Really? Oh, I've given you a tip there, haven't I? Sorry, I should be quiet. You don't see Jim Bowen on Bullseye doing that, do you?
No, the super smashing grenade. Do I win a caravan then?
No, you're a speedboat for your back garden.
You live in Manchester.
In a council estate somewhere.
Completely landlocked, no water near you. You want a boat. Right.
Excuse me, I've got a boat. You know,
you have, you're right. Yeah. At least you live near the sea.
Yeah, I'm living it, man. I'm living it.
Yeah, so... Right,
sorry, stop trying to distract from the actual question.
All right, Captain Ron.
Which Star Wars film has the most Academy Awards to its name?
It's probably got them for sound.
Possibly.
I would have thought.
Just have a guess, have a stab. You've got 4 out of... I'll give you 4 out of 5, so...
Yeah, I ain't done bad.
You haven't done bad.
Empire Strikes Back.
I would have said that. Do you know that? I would have said the same. It's not, actually. And this was I thought this is the one you wouldn't get, or might have struggled, and I would have struggled. Star Wars. Star Wars A New Hope. Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. But it did. It won 6. Apparently.
What sick?
Don't ask what. That's for another episode. Anyway, that's the test, Trev. You done well. 4 out of 5. I think
my first
you was worried about that. I could tell in your voice. And,
I was.
Yeah, and I think you've maintained your coolness of Star Wars.
Well, yes, I think I have.
So I think now we should perhaps go into the summary for today's episode.
Yes.
Okay,
more metal.
It's more metal. So, is it cool to be into Star Wars in your middle age?
I think it is. As long as you keep it, you're not running about in Darth Maul T-shirts, or you haven't got a cardboard cutout in your room.
Oops, just move that cardboard cutout. Yep.
What's his Jar Binks?
Yeah, exactly. Who likes Jar Jar Binks? If anyone likes Jar Jar Binks, go to our website and please leave us a message.
Yeah. Leave us a meme of Jar Jar.
Yeah, please do.
Honestly, that's the thing. I think you can be cool if it's selective. I'm afraid.
Yeah. So it's cool to be into the original, not just because we're older and it's cool because they were cool.
They were good.
Yeah.
They were good. They were good movies. The thing is, it's not that cool because they're not that great of films. That's the thing.
No. They've kind of, the legacy's been damaged.
If you took they're not even very good sci-fi films.
Not in comparison to what's come since.
Very quickly, as an example, I will use the second Blade Runner film. Again, not a good Blade Runner film, in my opinion, but a very good
standalone sci-fi film. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's not a great Blade Runner film, but the Star Wars. We haven't mentioned we haven't mentioned Rogue One, have we?
No,
which I think.
I think Stoke One's probably the best effort out of.
But do you think they did it on purpose, trying to aim Rogue One at the 40-year-old fans.
Yeah, I do, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that because,
No.
you know, at the end of the day, I kind of enjoyed that one and didn't think too much about it afterwards.
To sum it up, one of the things that really surprised me, and when I said I've seen all the Star Wars films at the cinema, which I have, apart from one, and that was the one I was dreading the most, was Solo. I don't think I could have watched it at the cinema because I was dreading it.
You had low expectations for that, and perhaps that helped.
I thought this is when there's two people film wise that I just think are uber cool, and I couldn't really. They're on a par for me. Han Solo and the dude at Big Lebowski. They're like that. That's one question. Like, what's the meaning of life? To me, one of the big questions of my life is who is the coolest, Han Solo or the Big Lebowski, the dude. But so I was dreading Solo. I just thought it would absolutely ruin everything. And then I watched it on my own and I was like, I'm really enjoying this in a kind of Indiana Jones in space way.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. It's not a amazing movie. It's not Star Wars, but it's just a really enjoyable.
It's another sci-fi film. There's good fun.
A good Star Wars, a good space adventure. It's got a real kind of Indiana Jones feel to it. There's bits of it that are a bit but as a whole, and I even watched it twice in one day.
Yeah, well, you can't knock that. It's fun. I mean, it hasn't done very well. There's never going to be another.
It was the lowest grossing one, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was the lowest gross. And the kids are really good in it.
Yeah, I think he does.
Woody Harrelson's really good in it, and they even spoilers if you haven't seen it. They even put the shoot first bit right.
Yeah,
didn't they?
Yeah.
Which was great.
Yeah,
I picked up on that. I was like, oh, that's great. They've tried to make up for that mass.
So it's a little nod to people of our age, I guess.
Yes, maybe, but it was, and even the way he met Chewie, you can tell how big a Star Wars fans we are by abbreviating Chewbacca's name. But yes, that even the way, because I was dreading that as well, but even that was done quite well.
Exactly. Yeah. So
I must admit that and Rogue One.
They stand out as a little bit where the other six.
Are we going to talk about the Mandalorian on another episode?
We'll talk about Star Wars again. It will come up as reference in every episode, I'm guessing. But
exactly.
It's basically summary. I mean, I have to say it's cool. Not to justify two things. I have stormtrooper armor and I've worn it and done events in it and it's been very cool. And when
really
you see middle-aged men saying to their kids, go and have your photo taken, when really they want their photo taken, and I've seen that.
Exactly.
And when
we would have been like it.
Yeah, of course.
I was on holiday in Dublin, really, really drunk, on a Saturday afternoon in a bar, and there was two stormtroopers walked past and an Imperial Guard. Like advertised, I think it's Forbidden Planet that just opened there.
Yeah, that's a good reason to go.
I come running out of the pub and I was so drunk I actually fell over in front of these two guys because I just wanted to say hello to them. Yeah,
you
know, and that I'd like to.
It makes you feel like a kid again when you see these things, doesn't it? And you can see it in people's faces.
Yeah, past the window, and stormtroopers. Cool.
I mean, stormtroopers are cool. They're not very great adversaries, but they are cool.
That's what makes them cool.
You know, yeah, exactly.
They're so disposable.
Exactly. Disposable.
And again, when we were kids, no one knew what was under their uniforms. No one knew what was under the armour. And then all of a sudden, they've told you what that is. It was better not knowing.
It was better not knowing.
Better not knowing.
Yeah, because you kind of thought when you was a kid they're kind of robot-y type things, didn't you? Like, don't know. We just didn't know.
They were stormtroopers.
Yeah, and it just sounded cool. It sounded very Nazi Germany kind of thing.
Because we're not going to talk about the Mandalorian.
No, not today. We'll bring that up. I think
I've got some views
as
on
part
that,
as part of TV series.
We're going to do a TV one. That'd be good.
We'll be. I mean, not being funny. We're going to cover a lot. Over the thing.
Again, TV's really influenced us.
I think Mandalorian crosses the boundaries. Hence why I'm watching it with a 9-year-old, and I'm nearly 50.
I've got a different opinion on the man because I don't. I watch it on my own.
No, exactly. So that's probably why that. So we'll talk about that in a different genre. So Star Wars is cool. Yeah, me. Trevor's got residing memory. He knows more than I do, to be fair, about Star Wars in general.
So?
I think you do.
We might have to question you next time.
Not only because you're the comic book culture and things like that, you know, so you, even though you never had the Star Wars comics, I just think you maybe picked up a bit, you could answer more questions, more solid, put it that way. But I love it just because it's been a massive part of my life. I've got the Stormtrooper armour. I've got, I'll just, which we'll talk about.
By the guy that really designed the original
armour. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I don't want to advertise them unless they sponsor us or something.
Give me
but,
one.
It was very expensive. I could only afford it because when I bought it, I was 40 years old, and I could only afford it because I'm 40.
You had. I must turn that off. Next episode, I will turn my mobile.
I appreciate the sound effects coming in, but
it's not bad, is it? Yeah, it's not bad. I remember you wanting them, and I remember me and you having a conversation about Stormtrooper outfits, and you actually wanted to go out, get one for each of us, and we were going to go out Christmas Eve drinking.
I'd love that.
And how much was yours worth? How much did you pay?
I paid about, I think it was about 1,100 quid or something.
Can you imagine me and you walking about Christmas Eve night, drunk after about 15 pints of Guinness, absolutely bladdered, walking around with over £1,000 worth of gear on? Can you imagine what state it would be in the morning? You'd have all kebab rubbish down the front. Honestly, you'd lose parts of it because people would be trying it on. Can see it.
That would be the best 1,100 quid I'd ever spend, though, to be fair.
It would.
Waste, waste.
Yeah, exactly. But then, to be honest, I couldn't do it now anyway because my beard would just stick out the bottom of it.
This is true.
How many Stormtroopers got beards?
You could do what you always promised not to do, Trev. You could tie up your beard. You could do that.
I have done that.
Yeah, well, if you needed to. So we could get away with that. But that, I find that kind of stuff cool. And also,
because I'd like to do an episode as well if people, and this will really divide opinion on like
cosplay, because
that's
I've got to think that's cool now because I've got no choice. But I don't think all of it's cool. It's the same as everything else.
I've got a bit of a love-hate thing with that, but we'll discuss that on a further.
We do that on a further one. My other reason for saying Star Wars is cool and not putting it in Room 101 completely is because obviously. I'm bloody inked with it on my right arm under a moment. I mean, I love the design, but it's been the bane of my life. Everywhere I go, even up until a couple of months ago, I walked down Oxford Street, and this is a time of COVID, and somebody stopped me and my colleague in the street, and I was at work, and they said, "Oh, would you mind signing up for this vaping?" And I said, "Well, I don't smoke, I don't do vape." And he said, "May the force be with you." And I was like, and this is the kind of.
See, is it cool to say that to
No, but he obviously, because he can see ATAT walkers on my arm, he's given him a free license to do it. So
I get the May the Force.
Why did I do it? Why did I do it? At the time, the new films were coming out as well. You were with me that night in a theatre when I went up to the bar and the bloke said something similar, didn't he? And I'm just like, I'm drunk, and I'm saying, "Oh, don't say these things in no uncertain terms." I
toyed with the idea. I was very close at one point to having a Han Solo portrait done.
You thought more about your tattoos than I ever have, man. I mean, I've tried.
And the other one I did think about, and I'm glad I didn't. And probably people have got it, and it is cool, but I'm glad it's not for me. Whereas I thought about getting the Rebel and the Empire's insignia tattooed on my feet.
I can see that
on the top of my feet.
Yeah,
that
would be cool because it's discreet.
Yeah, and again, if we talk about tattoos in another episode,
we definitely will be. Yeah,
the one of the best Star Wars tattoos I've seen, apart from yours, obviously, is and again that ties in very quickly with.
Well, your wife helped design my tattoo. To be fair,
yeah, she did. So I can't say.
No. I mean, the tattoo's cool. Don't get me wrong. The tattoo's brilliant, but it's just the whole aura surrounding it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, this I remember googling Han Solo tattoo. The portrait done, and some guy had Han Solo's blaster, which is one of the coolest guns ever.
Yes,
and he had that tattooed on one forearm, underneath the forearm. I don't know, what would you call the bit under the forearm, just there by the wrist? He had the blaster on there, and on his other arm, exactly the same place, he had Rick Deckard's gun out of Blade Runner.
Yeah,
and I thought that is well cool.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have. You know, when you look at things and think, I wish I'd have had that done.
And now it's not original anymore, so you think, oh, I can't have it.
Now.
Yeah, can't do it. But you can, to be fair. You could. But you're not original.
You don't want to be that guy, do you?
No. But that's for another time anyway.
Yeah.
But I think we've justified why Star Wars is cool. Some of it is cool.
Bits of it's cool, bits of it aren't.
So don't be embarrassed. If you're not into Star Wars and you're our age, go and check it out. I mean, you might find something in it now. You might like the later ones.
I think you'd really struggle to find someone that's not seen Star Wars.
You'll never get back that 18 hours of your life, to be fair. But
No. And I can't imagine what kind of impact it would have if you watched it now and had never watched them.
Depends what kind of medication you're on, I'm guessing, but
obviously
have a lot to do with it. Sorry, but we won't go there. That's for another episode. But okay, we're not consigning Star Wars to Room 101. We're keeping it for now. We're consigning my arm to Room 101.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you'd have no arm. I'd have no childhood.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'd have nothing in common.
No.
So that's great. We're keeping Star Wars. It is cool, and that's for today's episode.
But you don't need to kind of.
No,
flaunt it as much.
No, it does. It can be toned down, and it's cooler.
Wear the t-shirts all the
Sometimes
time.
less is more. Sometimes less is more. Not
spot on there,
exactly.
You wrap that right up.
So that's today's episode. Please join us next week. We're going to be doing Suns Out, Guns Out, which is basically a nod to the gym training when you're middle-aged. Hopefully you can learn a bit from it. Trev's going to be talking about his experiences.
I was very late to the game and I learned a lot of you. So,
and you're still going strong, and we'll talk about that.
Worked out this afternoon.
So definitely join us for that one. You'll definitely get something out of that, and it's been great fun. Definitely. And we'll see you next week. That's goodbye from me.
Bye.
See you.
And goodbye from me.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please leave a rating and review and visit our website at www.amlopodcast.com to check out all the links and resources in the show notes. Start living them good times. See you next time.